Now, I've seen everything. What the fuck? What is that?
What the fuck are you talking about? They're dead. They're all dead.
This house has seen more than you can imagine, and it knows.
No, leave me alone!
Wait!
Ethan, don't lose it. It's important.
Alright gamers, geeks, and other delinquents from the outer realms, it's time for the Gamers in Beta podcast with Captain Mike M.
That is a travesty of the highest order I've ever fucking seen one.
Featuring assorted co-hosts, J Maniac 17.
What the fuck was that all about?
Corey Atwood.
It's not my fault you guys all have shitty taste.
Sean Quicksilver 3355.
Well, maybe you should look it up.
And Joe State.
That game sucks, dude.
So Sid, Corey is a big retro gamer, and he couldn't be here tonight. He's 2 weeks in a row he is sick. And I think he's got the shits this week to go on top of that. And but he wants to know, is DuckTales the greatest NES game ever? Would you agree with that? Disagree?
I can't say that for me it's the greatest NES game ever, but it's a good game.
What would you put off the top of your head? What would you say is the greatest NES game?
See, I'm so partial to Zelda that I just can't help myself. I just love Zelda so much. So.
All right. Well, with that, let's kick off episode 187. This is Captain Mike M. We got Joe here tonight, Joe State, J Maniac 17, and Syd Bolton is joining us just for a little bit. Syd, you just mentioned Zelda. And the reason we got you on tonight is because we want to catch up with you because you were at some sort of Nintendo event in Toronto yesterday.
Yes, I got a chance as a member, use my press credentials to get in and try the Nintendo Switch before the general public had a chance to do it. So we're still, at the time we're recording this, we're just a little over 4 weeks out from having the Switch make its public appearance. So, of course, you know, there's been a lot of talk about the system. Is it any good? What does it feel like in your hands? Is some of this HD rumble stuff just a bunch of trickery, or what is it? And so I actually got to have some hands-on time with it, and I got to tell you guys, I was pretty impressed.
Awesome. So before we get into the event itself, when they announced this thing, what did you think? What were your initial impressions when you heard what the final thing was going to, be?
I wasn't too surprised overall. I kind of had an inkling, just based on sort of some of the leaks that had occurred, what was going to happen. I was kind of thinking that Nintendo might make this system a little bit more powerful than it ended up being, because really it seems like they've always just been lagging behind for so long, and that really hasn't worked out for them. Although I guess, if you look at the Wii was the same way, and of course it took off, but that just became sort of a debacle over time, I think, and people realized that it was just a bunch of shovelware for the most part. And although there are some great titles on the original Wii, the whole motion gaming thing turned out to be kind of a bit of a fad. So I'm happy to hear that they're not really necessarily embracing that the same way. They've really sort of, I think with the Switch, what they're embracing is the fact that it's able to be a portable system and it's able to be a console that plugs into the TV in the traditional way. I know for myself, I probably will end up using it plugged into the TV, but for example, if you take someone like our fellow friend there, Mr. Sean Evans, he has sort of stated that he's just going to use it as a portable machine, a replacement for his 3DS. So I guess it depends on what kind of a gamer you are and where you find yourself wanting to play your Nintendo type games. And so I was slightly underwhelmed by the presentation, but at the same time still hopeful. I'm always hopeful with Nintendo. I don't know why. I keep thinking they're going to do something, and at the end of the day, the company is innovative. You can't take that from them. They do have some innovation for sure going on, and they've often been copied in the industry. And at the same time, you know what? If they serve me up another serving of Zelda and Mario and everybody else, I'll gladly take it. I've gotten to the point now where I don't expect anything else from them. Right. So anything else they do is kind of a bonus.
So this was a press event you were at yesterday in Toronto. That was open to the general public today. But looking at the photos on Facebook, looks like lots of games there, which we'll get to in a minute. But certainly, what's the hands-on reaction? Did it feel good in your hands? Is it too lightweight, too small? Were you impressed with, undocking and docking? Did they let you do those types of things?
Yeah, they did, actually. So one of the first things that I did when I walked in, other than just go, wow, holy shit, there's a lot of games here. Like, they actually had quite a bit of space dedicated and a ton of people that they had working there to assist you. I guess partly so that nobody's like walking off with one of these units, but like literally there was almost like one staff person per guest. It seemed at times like it was pretty crazy. But the deal with Zelda Breath of the Wild is they had probably 12 systems set up just for that game. So it wasn't like there was a lack of systems or you had to wait too long to get on. I had to wait about 10 minutes to get my chance. And the thing was, it was a 20-minute demo. So you kind of had, and it wasn't a linear demo that you had to follow a certain path. And so the opening, I think they shortened it a little bit for the demo, so you didn't have to go through a lot of opening scenes. But basically what they did was they set you up with headphones, and they gave you a Pro controller, and they said, okay, here you go. And they started the game, and they started a timer, got into the game, and basically probably about halfway through, I did want to get some pictures, so I had brought somebody with me that was basically doing my camera work. And I said, is it okay for me to take it out of the dock to show me holding it in handheld mode? And they said, oh yeah, no problem. So they let me do it. I pulled it out of the dock. There was no issues with it. Basically, when you pull it out, you have to acknowledge that you're now controlling the game from a different control method by pressing basically the left and the right shoulder pads. And you do that, and now your control is now on the actual gamepad, and the game just continued from there, and it was seamless. And then I put it back into the dock, and it was easy. Clicked in, no problem. And then same thing, I had to pick up the Pro controller, hit the left and right triggers, and then I was again controlling the game with the Pro controller. So it was really easy.
What did you think was a better experience? I guess from a comfort perspective, did the Pro controller feel adequate like an Xbox One controller? Did the I'm looking at a picture here of you holding it. Looks maybe like a little bit bigger than a Vita.
Yeah, it is. It's a little bit bigger than a Vita for sure. It's definitely for an actual console, it seems smaller than I was expecting, and then for when you think about it as a handheld, it's bigger than you're expecting. So the size thing is going to take a little, but at the same time, it didn't feel uncomfortable at all. The spacing in my hands was good. The Pro controller felt great. I had no issues with the issues that I had with it at first adjusting to it were more a matter of the button mapping layout, because I'm so used to, on our regular controllers where when I say regular, I'm talking, PS4 or Xbox One, the A button is essentially the bottom button, and usually the button that progresses you forward in screens and things like that. And with Nintendo, the A button is over on the right-hand side. And so you're just like trying to play, and then it's saying press A to continue, and I'm hitting the bottom button because that's what I've gotten used to in the past year or 2 years that I've been really playing a lot more stuff on the modern systems. And so that kind of threw me off a little bit, but that's just, I imagine once you play it for 30 minutes or so, you'll get used to it again and you'll start. But, if you're someone who switches between platforms, like, I'm going to play a little bit of Nintendo in the morning and then go and play PS4 in the afternoon or whatever, or at night, that's going to kind of mess you up. Because the control buttons are a little bit different, but the controller itself feels very much like an Xbox One or PS4 controller. So I didn't have any issues with that at all. It felt really good in the hands. The weight was good. Certainly the responsiveness was bang on. There was no issues there at all. The game itself, I was quite pleased with. It has quite a bit different elements than a regular Zelda game so far, and I only had that 20 minutes, so things like, for example, you will come across apples in the game which you can eat to restore your health, but if you take those same apples and put them on a fire and turn them into like baked apples, then they give you more health back. So instead of just like a quarter heart container, then you would get a half container. So there's a little more RPG elements in this Zelda than we've ever seen before, and certainly the combat was what I'm used to, but I did, I played around with a bow and arrow, and it felt really good, and I was able to aim really well. I didn't have any problems at all. Like I was able to get I can't remember what the name of those goblins are, but I was able to whack one of those guys right in the head first try, which was great. And the game just told me, hey, by the way, if you whack him in the head, you're going to take him right out. But if you hit him, in another part of his body, it might take more than one shot to take him down. So that wasn't the exact wording, but you get the idea. It just, and that was a little bit different than, more like some traditional RPGs and action adventure games. So they've kind of adopted some stuff from games we've already played and certainly are used to. And so it was kind of nice to see that, because, Nintendo often just kind of goes on their own path all the time with just about everything. So it's nice to see them sort of adopting some of the stuff we're kind of used to in other games. And overall, it was great. And I was surprised to see some games. I don't remember hearing about Ultimate Street Fighter 2. So when I saw that, I was kind of like, oh, I didn't realize that was here. And there was a good mix of indie games and the Nintendo games there at the event. I didn't feel like there was some sort of extreme bias on first party by any stretch of the imagination. They gave lots of attention to the other stuff as well. And I saw people like, for example, the communications PR person for Ubisoft was wandering around. So I saw some industry people there it was good to see them out and not just strictly Nintendo, trying to do their thing. And they really wanted you and encouraged you to try the games. I tried Splatoon 2, and I had fun with that because there was a group of us that were playing against other people right there. So that was fun. 1-2 Switch, I originally didn't really care for it. I kind of thought, I'm not going to bother getting this at launch, but now I can kind of say that I probably will get it. I still think it probably should be a pack-in,
right.
But there's this game where like you have to figure out how many ice cubes are in the controller, and it's like,
yeah,
it's weird but also freakishly real feeling. Like it's this HD rumble they got going on, guys, is really good. It's really good. How it's going to be used in games, I don't know, and it's one of these things with Nintendo where they come up with these cool things, and it's really up to developers to sort of take advantage of it. And a lot of time Nintendo is the only one that kind of comes up with some coolish things, and that, like a lot of their innovation ends up getting sort of lost on the rest of the community. But I think there are going to be some things that will be cool coming out of this one. But I love the fact that they're not putting such a huge focus on that. What they're saying, and I think their press event was kind of saying, it's look, like this thing has all of the innovations that we've done over the years, from the D-pad and the buttons and the shoulder buttons, and like when they went through the whole thing where they were saying, the Switch inherits the DNA from every Nintendo system before it, and I think that's what's true, and it puts it all together and adds some new stuff. And I think that's good, because I think they've realized like they can't force developers, and we don't want to be forced into having motion control games only or things like that. And so obviously a game like Breath of the Wild using the Pro Controller says, hey, if you want to play a traditional game where you sit down and use a normal controller and that's the way you want to play, we're going to support it. If you want more casual games like the 1-2 Switch and things like that for people that aren't hardcore like we are, then we're going to support that too. And I think that's a smart way for them to go, because they're not really, I didn't ever get the messaging thing from them that they weren't supporting traditional games, and yet they're also trying to support this new innovation stuff. And I got to tell you, the place where people were laughing the most is this stupid Just Dance stuff. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get it, but yet I was standing there and I couldn't stop watching it for quite a while, and I couldn't help watching the people just having a blast playing it. Like, I can see why Ubisoft continues to do well with that. And I think if you do have friends that don't play video games, that might be a good place to bring them in. So I think as us being hardcore gamers that don't always see the value in that quote unquote crap, because that would be not the typical game that I would play,
right,
I do see the value in helping draw in more casual gamers into the space that we know and love so much.
Now, Syd, we have some doubting Thomases in our midst, and Jay is one of them. Jay, you often say that you want to get hands-on with this thing and see what it's about. That probably will happen at PAX East, which is just 40 days away, if you can believe it.
I hope so.
So why don't you ask Syd J some of your skeptic questions to maybe answer some of those, put you at ease a little bit.
Now, when you were using this, did they use the touchscreen at all?
No, I didn't do anything with the touchscreen.
Did it have a home screen when you were using it? Were you able to go
they didn't let us do any of that.
Nothing
They
like
had
that.
Basically all of the games were just playing in their mode. I played with like Skylanders, and I got to see how there wasn't a portal necessary anymore, and how basically I was able, and they let me scan, my character into the game by using the right Joy-Con. So that's where that occurred, and then it came up on the screen. It worked fine. It's like right above, like it's basically you put it above the right stick.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no UI at all that was visible at any time. Like I said, they did allow me to take the thing out of the dock and stuff like that and actually play the game in that mode. And they did have some setup in the tabletop mode for some of they had like it was called Mario's Diner, but they had basically a place where 4 people could sit with each other and play, because they were really trying to emphasize the different ways that you can play the system.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did have that. And then they just had like a more traditional couch setup where you just sat down, like this new Sonic game, they had that there, and you just like sat down. Same with Street Fighter, you just sat down in this sort of cool couch and just sort of played like you would play any video game. But it was always set up with the game, and you just could never get out of it. You just did your thing, and they didn't show anything else beyond that.
Which isn't abnormal. I mean, even like when you go to PAX and stuff, usually that's kind of how it's set up. I was just curious if they showed it at all.
Yeah, but I mean, I did get time with it in my hands, and I mean both the Pro Controller and the Joy-Cons separately. And I also, when I played Skylanders, I played it with the Joy-Cons on the joystick setup, whatever it's called, that comes with it.
On the handled.
Like that.
Piece,
Basically, that's that middle piece that you attach the Joy-Cons to. So like it's like, So I got to play the Skylanders game with that because I wanted to get a sense of like, am I absolutely going to hate the controller as it ships and have to spend the I'm in Canada, so it's about $1 billion for the Pro Controller. Yeah, like it's a mortgage payment. Like it's ridiculous. But I will probably do that anyways because I can't see me playing Zelda without having the nice controller, but that's just me being snobby, and that's me being like, I want to play.
So that didn't feel like it was a high-end controller or a comfortable controller.
It did
just the Joy-Cons in that little dog-eared thing.
It did actually feel pretty good.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm saying, like, I think maybe it's just me being snobby because I was playing with the Pro Controller going, oh, I like this. And I played that first, and I just wanted to, like, take it home with me, and I tried to figure out, like, why did I check my jacket? Because maybe I could sneak it in my jacket. And then a bunch of us had a discussion about, can you play it, like, do you really need that dock, to hook it up to the TV? Like, because apparently the dock's going to be pretty expensive.
$90 in the U.S.
Yeah, so, again, $1 billion here. So... no, it's going to translate to like, $129 Canadian maybe.
Now, did you use the controller, the Joy-Cons, either one of them, just individually like they showed in some of the videos and stuff?
Yes, I did.
Did it feel like you're going to cramp your hands, or was it comfortable?
It didn't feel like it was going to cramp my hands, but it did feel small.
Okay.
And I would say I probably have average hands, maybe size-wise.
So you don't have Trump hands?
No. No. And I don't have like the man hands like in the Seinfeld episode with the, here, let me open your beer. Let me rip off that. Let me just crack open this lobster.
Okay.
But, like the Xbox Duke, I don't feel comfortable with. It's too big. I think it's too big. I think only giants can use that anyway. But the S controller on the original Xbox was much better for me. But I think overall the whole sizing thing threw me off initially of everything. Like the system seemed smaller than I was expecting it to be, but at the same time, when I had it as a portable, I was thinking, oh, it's pretty big. Like so I was saying, like there's a whole bunch of things going off in your brain that don't necessarily mesh. But at the same time, overall, I thought it was great. I didn't feel like it was one of those things. It was a minor period of adjustment, and then you kind of went, "Oh, yeah, you know what? This works. This is fine. This is okay."
So, what did you get to play in the in the portable configuration with the Joy-Cons connected to the screen?
The only thing I played in that mode was Zelda.
Okay, that's a great example. Then how well did that play, and did you find it easily, like you didn't feel like you were going to drop it trying to hit some buttons or something? Was everything pretty accessible without feeling...
Yeah, no, it felt fine. I was okay with that. I thought, I can play this way. I could take Zelda. I could play Zelda in the can. Not that I want to. But I could. Well, I kind of want to just to say that I did.
And then
that was the dream of the Wii U, right? Like everyone thought, well, geez, I can just take this with me and go to the can. But then, depending on your home configuration, like I couldn't make it. Like
most people couldn't.
I'm too far away.
Yeah.
This you can do.
Yeah. Does it? One of my biggest concerns is if that got dropped. Does it seem like that there's a potential for it to break? Did it seem fragile or? What's that?
No, I said you're fucked.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah, don't drop that thing.
I mean, I think that goes for anything. If you drop your Vita, I think you'd be fucked.
I've dropped my Vita.
I mean, I guess on a rug, obviously rug is different than anything else, but depends on how you drop it. Right on the side,
But see, the thing is that the Switch is a little bit heavier. It's not to say that it's heavy, because I didn't feel like, oh my god, guys. It's also hard to tell because it was tethered, right? So
right, yeah.
I don't know how much impact that had on it in terms of the weight, but I think because it is a little bit heavier, if you dropped it, it would probably do more damage to it just from, the force of gravity, right? Than maybe the Vita. But, just don't drop your shit, I guess,
Well, no, I mean, with a portable, I mean, that's always a concern, I mean, you're paying $300 in Canada, probably.
It's $399. It's $399 in Canada.
Okay. So,
just for the base system, yeah.
Yeah, and if you're using it as the portable, it sounds like it's comfortable in your hands, and all the buttons and everything are in the right places for it to be comfortable to be used portable, which was one of my big concerns. The other one was that, how fragile is this thing? Which it's hard to tell, like you said, being tethered. And I heard some people that have tried it say that it's almost like they had a weighted block or something on it with the tether.
Yeah, see, and I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like I said, I don't want to make a judgment call overall. I can only tell
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, and it's hard to say, but I never felt like I was worried about dropping it. I mean, not just because it wasn't mine.
Yes,
because you always feel like, yeah, that's mine. I don't drop that. But I wonder, if much like iPads, it freaks me out when I hear about these kids that crack iPad screens, and I just think, how can you drop it? But kids do that, right? Sometimes. So I'm assuming that there's going to be a market for sort of the ruggedized condoms or whatever you want to call them that will go around the system.
Some kind of a case.
Yeah,
I'm sure they'll come up with something like that.
That will sort of alleviate that fear of dropping it and maybe absorb some of the shock if it did fall. But I think like anything that has a screen like that, we're going to hear stories about screens cracking and people dropping them. It's unavoidable, I think, in that form factor. But I didn't feel like I was worried about dropping it by any means or any of that kind of stuff, and it didn't feel slippery or anything like that in my hands. I was probably a little bit sweaty because I was excited, but other than that, I don't know. I felt really like I walked out of there. Not that I walked in negative, but I wasn't sure how it was going to go, and now I'm more excited than ever. In fact, we're going to do an actual event here. I wanted to do it a little bit closer to the launch of the system, but we're going to be doing something up here in Ontario on March 23rd. We're going to have an event where people can come and try it this is obviously after the public launch, but I think there'll still be a lot of people that are going to avoid it from the beginning. Either they won't be able to get one, or they're going to say, I'll wait. Like I talked to someone today who said, I'm going to wait until version 2.0, whatever that means. But I think there's still a lot of skeptics, right? So we're going to have an event where we'll have 3 of them and people will be able to try it. And we're also bringing in a couple of local, we're bringing in Scott Jones, who I don't know if you guys watch or did watch Reviews on the Run or Electric Playground down there, but they were on G4 for many years. And Scott was Tommy Tallarico's replacement on the show. And he's a friend of mine, so he's going to come out to the museum, and he's now living in Toronto, so he's close to me. He's like an hour away, where he was in Vancouver before, so he was like way too far away. So Scott's going to come out, and we're also getting another local media guy to come out, and people are going to be able to talk to them. So that'll be kind of a draw for some people. And then for other people, the Switch will be the draw, having a chance to try it. And I'm hoping to have, most of the, I will have, I imagine, most of the launch titles, if not all of them. But then there's also some people haven't talked about all the separate sort of indie titles that are going to be available as well, like Binding of Isaac and stuff like that. That should be available on day one, I believe. So we're going to try and show as many of those games as we can and let people experience those. ARMS was cool. Like
I was just going to ask about that. Speaking of games, how was ARMS? Did it feel intuitive to use with those Joy-Cons?
You know how the Wii sometimes had moments of greatness where you could feel the potential, where everything seemed to work, but then when it didn't work so well the next time around, you thought maybe it was a fluke. At least that's how I always felt about the Wii. Like, it's like, wow, this is so cool. Like, I mean, obviously the Wii Sports packet always worked pretty well, but a lot of the other titles sort of were hit and miss. This feels like they finally kind of perfected that stuff. Like, I never once felt that it wasn't right, you know. And so it was fun. It's fun. At first I thought, what a ridiculous name, and just the premise. And I'm like, there's arms flying out of these people and whatever. But again, this is one of these cases where you got to kind of leave it to Nintendo. They build their games different than most people do, right? I mean, if you even look at, Super Mario, like the way they built it was, based on the game controlling properly and all that stuff first before they even worried about environment, story, or any of that kind of stuff. It was like they built the game to make it move and feel smooth first. And then once that was perfected, then they built a game around that. And Nintendo's often done that. And when they do that, they're usually successful. And that's what ARMS feels like to me. It was like, okay, how can we utilize this new controller technology we've put together, this ultimate version of motion control and, access controllers and buttons and everything. How can we maximize this in some kind of a game? And then let's build the game around it. And that's how I'm sure it was built, and it shows because it's kind of like controls first on that one. So don't expect a great story. Who cares? It's you get to punch
You're basically punching with extendable arms.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, like as great as the Wiimote was, it was still always only that single entity, and then you kind of had to have like the nunchuck on the side. They needed obviously for the other side of controlling things, and I understand that. And so then they kind of made it so that, oh yeah, look, we can kind of like do this with the hands. But then you had that tethered thing where it was plugged in, right? Whereas here you've now got two separate things in two separate hands. It feels more natural. You don't feel like one is heavier or bigger than the other, because they're not. Like the Joy-Cons are virtually identical. So it just feels better. It just feels right.
Oh,
it's like
that's good news.
Yeah.
And for what you did play there, I mean, I think we've pretty much gone over most of the specs of what it does, as far as, the motion controls, having it connected, using the Pro Controller. You thought the Pro Controller was very comfortable and more like kind of like an Xbox or a PlayStation controller in that way.
Yeah, more like what I'm used to playing with.
Very comfortable.
Yeah.
And, and then also using it.
Was translucent too. I kept looking, trying to see, could I see anything in there?
Yeah.
Like, is there any magic in there? Like, is there anything that can come out? But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, and it seems to be, it's going to work well as a portable. Although we don't know battery life, you can't really tell with what you've had there. No. That being said, I can probably guess, but what would your top three games that you got to play there, and was there something that used the specifics of the Switch, motion or whatnot, that made it interesting for you?
Well, I mean, clearly for me, the Zelda game, number one, no question. And really, I didn't even get to use anything of there wasn't anything gimmicky about it or controller based. It was just a normal game when I was playing. So it could have been on, like, I suppose, when some people say, well, maybe Nintendo's made a mistake by releasing it on the Wii U as well, and that's going to hurt Switch sales. I think if you're a diehard Zelda fan, you're going to want to play it in the best resolution and the best smoothness and everything else. And the only place you're going to get that is on the Switch. I mean, it is clear that although the hardware maybe isn't as impressive as we might have hoped it was, it's still more impressive than the Wii U. And so if you're a true diehard Zelda fan, and unless you're just strapped for cash, you're going to want to play it on the Switch no matter what. So that would be my number one for sure. I wasn't that excited about ARMS going into it, but I actually was pretty impressed, and I thought it was kind of neat, and I can see me playing that game. It's not maybe a game I would play for hours upon hours, but it was certainly interesting. The 1-2 switch, I originally kind of dismissed it completely as ridiculous, which of course it is, but at the same time I can see it being something that, again, would help me now, I'm an advocate of video games, so I feel like my job is always to sort of make sure, I don't understand it when people say, I don't play video games, or I also love it, by the way, and I don't know if you guys encounter this, but I love it when I've had coworkers say to me, no, I don't play video games. I'm not into gaming like you are, and I'm like, okay. And then you walk away and then you see them playing something on their phone, right? And what are you doing? Oh, I'm just playing this thing. Well, you're playing a game. That's not a video game. It's on my phone. Okay.
That's a game.
That's a game. But I just feel this need to try and draw. I just don't understand those people that don't like video games. So I'm always trying to find ways to bring in more people into. I feel like it's our secret club that we've discovered something that's incredible, and there's other people out there that don't also agree with us. I just feel sometimes like I have to bring more people into the group for some reason, and so that title I could see doing that for sure. The Sonic
kind of acting like Wii Bowling did for the Wii. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
That was the hitch that's what sold.
Yeah, it's not
the Wii.
Is it the greatest game ever made? No. Is it interesting? Does it make you think as a gamer that there's other experiences that we haven't experienced yet? And that's kind of what it made me do. I was like, you know what? This is actually kind of neat, because maybe there are some things. When we think we've just about had the best that we can experience with video games, and that we think that, there isn't anything else out there other than better graphics and better sound and more realism and more immersiveness, or whatever it is that we think that games are going to become in the future, it actually makes you think that, maybe there's more out there that we haven't discovered yet, and maybe there's more ways we can play games that we just haven't gone over. And that's what that game made me feel like, and it made me think about. So that, at least from that perspective, it made me feel that way for sure. So that was kind of cool. And I never really, I owned Splatoon, the original Splatoon, but I've never actually played it. And I know.
You're not the only one. There's a lot out there.
Too many games, too little time.
Yeah.
But you know what? I had a blast. And I'm not big on multiplayer because I usually get my ass kicked by 12-year-olds, and it's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and especially someone with my collection and all that kind of stuff, everyone thinks that I'm like some, mega gamer. I'm a mega collector. I'm a okay gamer. I'm good at the games I like to play, and I like to play single player campaign games. And you know what? I actually I was like, this is fun. And it actually uses the controller. I was using the Pro controller again to play that one. And you actually aim with the controller. So you have to move your hands to aim the ink, and so that was I wasn't really expecting that. And again,
you mean as in motion control with the controller, right?
Yeah, you're just tilting the controller a bit up and down to aim your crosshairs in terms of where the ink's going to go. You still use the stick to move around, but in terms of aiming up and down and sort of left and right, you kind of move things. And it was like, okay, it took me 2 or 3 minutes to get used to that, but once I did, I was kind of like, oh yeah, this actually works pretty well. I got it. Like, and it just it took a minute of adjustment, but once I got into it, it was good. And because maybe it's because I was on a team and I didn't feel like I was just on my own getting my ass kicked. I felt a little better and able to play well, and we all had fun. So I wasn't expecting to like Splatoon 2. Or really give a rat's ass about it, but now I'm like, you know what? I actually would play this game.
Corey will be glad to hear that.
So that was kind of my kind of like, oh wow. And again, as always, shocked by the Just Dance thing. I laughed my ass off when I walked by watching these people play. I still didn't play it. I just watched. But yeah, overall impressions. I am impressed. I'm looking forward to getting mine. Please don't call, text, or whatever on March 3rd. I'll be busy. I've taken the day off work. I'm going to be hanging out with Link, and we're going to be, going on new adventures, and I can't wait. What the future holds, of course, nobody can tell, but I am cautiously optimistic. I don't get caught up in the whole specs thing or whatever. I'm a little worried that it's the same thing Nintendo's done with the Wii U, but the fact that there's not as many launch I don't care about that stuff. Like, at launch, I understand things are going to be whatever they're going to be. I just hope that Nintendo doesn't do stupid things with its third parties and sort of block them out. I think they're getting back on that right track, and I hope that continues. And I think, third party, I mean, really, at the end of the day, the third parties are going to support the system if they can make money, right? And Nintendo allows them to. Those two things just have to occur. And if those two things occur, then everybody will be happy. So we need to sell lots of systems, obviously, to build a good user base. And of course, I mean, you can't just sell systems. There has to be an attach rate and good games. And I think the potential is here. I think this has the potential to be what the Wii U could have been, that it just wasn't, and has now turned the Wii U into this like system with less than 200 games that so underutilized, and it was a big disappointment, I think, to everybody. But at the same time, there's still good games on it, but half the world's not going to know about it, so that's okay. It makes it good for collectors like myself, I guess. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to what happens with the Switch, and I'm really excited to play Zelda. And if that's all I get to play, I guess the sad part is I'd still be somewhat happy, spending $500 just to play one single game, I guess, is a little ridiculous. But hey, haven't we all done ridiculous things in our lives? Absolutely.
Yes.
Not that one.
Well, I was contemplating, starting a third show in a row talking about the Switch, but I felt since you had hands-on time, it was worth bringing you on, because I think podcasts of our ilk haven't had the hands-on experience. Certainly the bigger podcasts have. So I wanted to get you on and maybe, give some insight, and you certainly have. So I appreciate that, Syd. We'll let you go. We know it's a Sunday night and you got to get ready for work. So, again, thanks for coming on, and we'll talk soon. All right.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Take care.
All right. Take care, Syd.
Thanks, Syd.
So let's take a commercial break here. Let's hear from one of our sponsors, and then we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Hey guys, personal question for you here. Is the junk in your house starting to pile up? Is the junk in your house old and kind of sad? Is your junk beginning to smell? Do you just wish someone would come over and just grab your junk? Well, following in the footsteps of successful startups like Uber and Airbnb comes GrabMyJunk.net, which connects junk havers with junk grabbers. Seconds after setting up your Grab My Junk profile, you can connect with thousands of registered users potentially interested in your junk. Now, we all know a picture's worth 1,000 words, so GMJ allows you to post a picture of your junk online, along with a brief description of its size, shape, and texture. Now, with its sleek social media integration, Grab My Junk also gets your friends and family involved, messaging them directly on Twitter and Facebook, asking them if they'd like to see your junk. So stop being embarrassed about your junk and show it to the world. There's probably someone out there who wants it. GrabMyJunk.net. Put your junk in our hands.
All right. Thanks again to Syd for coming on. Always so thorough with his analysis. Right, gentlemen?
As always, it's good to have him on and have some detailed information with the hands-on. I mean, it's opened a few things up for me, so I'm curious, but it's still going to be the same. I am going to have the hands-on too to really convince me, but it sounds like those that have done it. Well, no.
Let's be real, Jay.
Well, let's move the show along and get into some of the community questions. So on Discord, Mafia Thug has been on now for about a month on Discord, chatting with us almost daily, which we enjoy. So he came up with a community question centered around your gamer tag, PSN screen name. He wants to know, how long have you had your gamer tag? And if so inclined, explain why your gamer tag is what it is. So before we get into ours, let's read some from the listeners. You want to kick things off, Joe? Down below?
Yes, sorry, I'm on mute. My bad. My mistake. So, yeah, I'll go first. Let's start with the feller who asked the question. The Mafia Thug. Well, there's no the in his actual screen name, but I'm going to say the regardless. He says, Mafia Thug. I've had my gamer tag for probably 20 years, since PS2 days. The reason it is what it is. My nickname in high school was Mafia. Weird nickname in high school. Long story. And I love Tupac, which is the reason why I have Thug on the end. At the time, I believed very much in the friends and family motto, so I changed Mafia to Mafia with 2 Fs to represent that. Hence, my gamer tag for 20 plus years is Mafia Thug. I've often thought about changing it, but it's stuck and it seems to leave an impression on people. I'm a little more mature than my Thug days. It's hard to change a name that's been around for so long. Following that answer is an answer from RoboPig. He says, started using mine when Quake 2 became my main game. It was the name of a comic strip that my friend and I started in college. Published in the college paper, and it seems funny now that I can't get RoboPig on Xbox or PSN. Had to get crazy with zeros and ones and underscores. Ooh, look who it is. It's Los, the elusive man. He says, I first started going by the elusive man when I signed up for Twitter. I signed up because this podcast I was really into and had an awesome community. Easy MU. Was always talking about Twitter. At the time, I was heavy into Mass Effect 2, and the name went perfect with my desire to be an anonymous on social media. Because my family, I was trying to get away from not communicate with. Los, what are you even trying to say?
He's trying to say he had some family members he didn't want to fucking talk to.
Oh. Well, there you go. Good job, Mike. You're pretty good at deciphering Los. And then his final sentence here is, sadly, I'm not the only elusive man on Xbox, and just plain Los on PSN and Nintendo.
All right, we heard from Damien, Afterthought, on Dad's Getting Grounded. Actually, Afterthought 051. He says, I've only had my gamer tag for about 15 years. Only, right? Only 15 years. Back when I finally got my Xbox 360, I needed to come up with a gamer tag for the first time in my life. I chose a word not often used and could have a dual meaning. I settled on Afterthought, as I thought after I died, I would just be an afterthought to someone that killed me as they moved on to the next victim. Really? Or that perhaps I would be someone's afterthought, that last-minute, last thought, if I managed to kill them. I thought all the vowels removed would be too confusing. Afterthought, so I decided to keep the OU for thought and just remove the E. I was also big into Halo novels at the time and had just read Ghost of Onyx. In the novel, there is a Spartan named Kurt, who was number 051. I really liked his character and saw a reflection of his traits in my own, so I put on the 051 in homage to him. Jay, did you ever read that one?
I did. I listened to it. I have it in an audiobook.
God damn it.
Let's see. Kel18. I've had mine since the original Xbox. It's based off of a character from the Dragon Lance series. Kalandros was the largest of the blue dragons, and I always liked the name, so I shortened it to Kel, and 18 has always been my favorite number. Thus, Kel18. And Devious Mr. Matt of the 40 cast. I've had mine since about 2006, 2007 or so. Started out being, I don't know, some World at War character here. Cagnogor, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce that. Jesus Christ. And I used that on Xbox Live. Then after a while, I wanted to change it to something better, so I came up with Devious Mr. Matt. History from there.
And we move on to The Pizza Guy. I've had my gamer tag since I got my 360. It's Slaterific, because my last name is Slate, and a girl at work would call me Slaterific. You can't put hyphens in gamer tags, and Slaterific with a capital A looks wrong. So I took the A out, and that looked better. Aaron Shoesmith, our friend that started the cast with us, THM Magnum Spy. I have only one gamer tag for 17 years. My favorite gun has always been the Magnum, and I was really into James Bond movies. Hence, Magnum Spy. Denny, a beer guy, a loose screw. I have had mine since Xbox original live days. Took my fantasy football team name the Loose Screws and removed the, and combined to make an easy loose screw gamer tag that has been used for everything ever since. And it's a play off my last name, indicating my wild and crazy side of having a few screws loose. Luckily, I have not had issues using it. Eric Glover at Glovebox. Since the beginning and when I was in the military, I have somehow acquired it. It related to my last name. So that would be Glovebox. And the last one we have here is Dat Neutralist, Shownuff71 on Twitters. Had mine or a variant of it since early OG Xbox days. Origin should be obvious.
And if you scroll down, he gave us a picture. Does that ring any bells to you guys?
No.
Joe?
It's Shonuff.
Right? It's Shonuff.
I mean,
is that old
that's what
karate
it is.
movie? Yeah.
Oh, which one is it? I can't even think of the name of the movie. I just know that that's Shonuff. The cool, like, karate guy. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Who wants to go first and explain their name? Now, Joe, are you Joe State everywhere?
So I'm Mr. State on PlayStation Network because somehow someone sniped Joe State from me before I had a chance to make it, which is disgusting. I hate them.
So we obviously Joe's your first name.
Correct.
Yes.
And then State is a last name that I made for myself in high school because when you're punk rock, you always like make your band name your last name, you know?
Like Joey Ramone.
Yeah, exactly. Like Joey Ramone, like Mike Virus, etc. And I didn't have a band. I had this fake government that I made up with my best friend Sean. And so we took the fake government, which was named State, and made that our last name. And so it was Joe State ever since sophomore year of high school. So it's been a while. And then, on Steam, I actually just changed it, which is funny because I for years and years and years and years and years since like Half-Life, I have played as Satan.
Satan.
And, yes,
Satan.
Satan, and I've changed it to Joe State recently. I put a fake clan tag as GIB because of this podcast.
Nice.
And then I won't ditch it, but I have at the end of there in parentheses ARSTG with an exclamation point, which stands for Action Revolver Spy Team Go, which was like an inside joke on the server that I was an admin on for the entirety of Team Fortress 2 when I played that for like my 6,000 hours or something.
Just 6,000? That's it?
I don't. It might be 6,000. Let's see. But yeah, before this clan tag, we were actually ASP, which was the Antisocial Perverts. So Antisocial Perverts, Satan, Action Revolver, Spy Team Go.
Damn is right.
Now, Jay.
Yes.
Maniac. Jay from Maine is a maniac. Did I ruin it for you, or is there more to it than that?
That is exactly it. I was from Maine and first got onto the intranets, started using that as a name. My favorite number was 8, so I was Maniac 8 for a long time. And then when Xbox Live came out, the OG Xbox, when they first originally had that, I was into NASCAR, and my driver drove the car number 17, so I used Maniac 17, and that's been my name ever since. So pretty simple and to the point, and it's worked out well because I've been able to get it on everything that I use. So my gamer tag on Origin, Ubi, everything is Maniac 17. So
excellent. Well, let's start with the easy one first, right? Obviously, Mike M. That's who I am. Captain comes from a old band that I was in, and I got that nickname not because I was in charge. It was because, sometimes I was Captain Asshole, maybe drank a little too much, maybe a bit of a potty mouth, maybe a bit of a hothead. So I was always Captain Mike. So that has been with something I've probably had, mid-90s. But when I got into gaming, I didn't really roll with that first. And I don't know, at least I didn't think at some point I'd be on a podcast, or at least maybe on like Xbox Live and other people could see my name. So it really wasn't much thought of what I picked. So I had these two bulldogs named Buddy and Macy. And I used to call them Bud 1 and Mace 1. Now, Joe, I don't know if you ever heard of thugs and gangsters put the one after their name.
Yeah.
Sort of like street lingo. And then there's also obviously Obi-Wan Kenobi and things like that. So I used to just always call them Bud 1 and Mace 1. So I remember getting Xbox Live and the fuck am I going to pick for my name? Because I couldn't relate to like, Dragon Sniper 3322, Just wasn't something I could just put down and say, yeah, that's me. So I came up with something equally as stupid and put my dogs' names all mushed together. So that's how that all became the Bud Mace 1 thing that you see on PlayStation. And hopefully someday they'll let me change it so I can be Captain Mike M everywhere. Although, I was mentioning this the other day that I would like to drop the Captain Mike M and have something completely new because, I've had that name for a long time and probably doesn't, adequately represent, who I am. And certainly over that whole period, look back with fond memories, but it's really not who I am at this particular point. So, but again, I come back to the same problem. Well, what the hell else am I going to pick that I can relate to and things like that? So it will probably remain Captain Mike M for forever and ever and ever. And such
Amen.
is life. Yep. So Mafia Thug, thanks for the question. Anybody else wants to solicit a question of the week? Let us know, and we'll certainly run with that.
Yes, please, because that was excellent.
Yep. The question of the week for next week, sort of a tie-in to Resident Evil 7, which is doing unbelievable. It seems like everybody's playing it and loving it. Yeah. So we want to know, what makes a game scary for you? Is it, the story, the setting, noises, characters? Let us know when you're playing a game what makes it scary for you. Anything to add on that, Jay?
Pretty much covers it. I'm kind of curious, first person, third person, what makes it for you? What scares you? Jump scares, whatever, please elaborate for us as much as you can in 140 characters.
And Joe, you picked up Resident Evil 7 today?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but I'm really excited to get a chance to.
So popular, it took you this long to get it because it's been sold
Jesus
out at all the Best
Christ.
Buys, right?
So mad. I went out last night to try and get it. And, just got shot down. I fucking went over to the guy and was like, hey, is there anything anywhere around here that has this at, like, any Best Buy around here? And he's like, let me look for you. And then there was only one store in the Portland metro area that still had one copy left. And then I looked today online, and there was one that 3 popped up at. And it was over by where my wife was at the time. And so I was like, oh, shit. And I texted her. I was like, yo, you got to go pick this up for me. So
Thank you.
I ordered it online, and then it was ready for pickup by the time she was done with what she was doing. She picked it up for me, and now it is in hand. And I already threw it in the PS4 just to download any patches before I get a chance to actually play it. So
Excellent. Well, we look forward to hearing about that soon.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that because yesterday we were all looking forward to the Amazon Lightning deal that was supposed to go on. And about 2 hours before the Lightning deal was supposed to go down, it disappeared.
Punks.
And I went in to look to see for the Xbox One, and it sold out on Amazon. They're out to like February 15th now.
Yeah, they sold like all 3 copies they had in back order.
Yeah.
When you think Resident Evil 7 or just the series itself, you do think PlayStation, though, right?
Oh, I do. By default, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have a listener question this week again from our Twitter friend, Bucks Sugar Free. He wants to know, do you guys watch video game montages? If so, what ones? Is there one that's your favorite for editing, music, or clips? I'd probably say no to this. I do not watch video game montages. I certainly watch, quick looks here and there. I certainly watch people stream here and there. But I don't know if I've watched, like, sort of, is a montage, like you would say, like the highlights of something? Is that what he's getting at there?
Yeah. Like a bunch of clips all just kind of
put together,
organized in a stylish way.
Yeah, no, I've never really kind of just put something on in the background. I will watch when, again, like Mike said, when people are streaming or whatnot. And then any other time I'm really doing it is because I'm stuck somewhere, trying to get it. So I'll watch a video of something, have a kind of like a walkthrough or whatnot to get me through something. But as I guess if you're asking as a montage just in the background, kind of like a music, or sometimes you put TV in the background to kind of be there. No, I don't do that.
What about you, Joe?
I wouldn't necessarily say that I watch montages of specific games, but I have watched montages of say the best of Giant Bomb stuff. Those are like montages they're like playthroughs of Hitman. I've watched that. Mm-hmm. But I haven't ever gone and been like, what are some of the best fighting game montages from Evo or something? I haven't done that or anything like that.
No, I certainly have watched montages for other things besides video games. Like best knockouts, like in boxing or UFC, or best hockey fights or something like that, or car crashes, or things like that.
I have watched some of the, now that I think about it, for Grand Theft Auto 5, like the jumps, the car jumps, stuff like that. I've watched a few of those, but not many. So I guess I have to change my answer to no and change it to, I guess, very rarely. So and I've seen some stuff like that, and also some of the car crashes, I guess, in some of the videos.
I like watching those dashboard cams.
Oh, yeah.
Like Devious Mr. Mats?
No. Like
usually
the ones like in cars and stuff like that. Like I'd say, what would you say, like Russia and things like that?
Yeah, I think Russia, it's like pretty much common practice. Yeah, it must be
fraud,
something. Right? Yeah, because that's where the majority of them seem to come from. And man, I understand why. Holy smokes, they're nuts.
Yeah.
I've seen.
Let's get it. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would just to be forward here, I don't really watch montages, but I do watch quick looks to get an idea about games that I've never really played or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I do that, but not really montages. And you can tell by last week's text to speech that I watched the Yakuza montage.
Did you enjoy that, Joe? I try to pick out a good voice for that.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one. I'm worried about whatever you're going to pick out for this week.
We'll see. I got to go through. Let's see here. Let's get into what we've been playing. Joe, you haven't been on in a few weeks, so why don't you take the lead on this?
All right. Well, it's been a crazy couple weeks for me, so I honestly haven't had that much gaming time. I ended up having to step away from my tattoo apprenticeship, which is, a disappointment, but it allows me more time to dedicate towards the eBay and the YouTube, which I'm trying to grow significantly. YouTube's been doing really well. I actually believe Bucks Sugar Free is somebody who follows our States Place YouTube stuff and reached out and wanted to be added on my PS4 or PSN, and then he ended up following us all. So that's kind of cool. But I could be wrong. It could be a different person.
I think it's accurate.
And then, so things have been hectic. This whole week has just been like this insane marathon of getting stuff listed on eBay because we found we had almost 500 items of dead stock just sitting in our bins. So I didn't get to touch anything this week. But last week, before things went super crazy, I got to put in some more time on Hitman.
Yeah.
This time I played through, I don't think I talked about this already, but I played through the second map called Sapienza. And it's basically like this European coastal town. There's this guy who's afraid of leaving his house. So they built this crazy lab deep underneath it. And inside of the lab, he's developing some kind of virus that can specifically target people. It's just this gnarly virus. And so they don't want that to get out because that'll get rid of the need of having hitmen, etc. And so you have to sneak in there and you have to take out him and his successor. And it's super, super cool. And I was really happy with it because it's the first time that I ever did it just by following clues and the things in the levels that kind of give you a hint of what's coming up. And so I didn't use any kind of walkthrough or YouTube hint page or anything like that. So I figured it out all on my own, and it was really, really fun. And it was very time consuming, but it was fun. And then once I beat that, I looked at what the alternative level or the alternative mission was for that level. And apparently they had this, I think it was the bonus summer one for Hitman. It was basically they reskinned Sapienza and they made it so there is an action, like a hero action movie, kind of like the Marvel movies that are being filmed there. And so there's this giant robot, and it has these pincers and teeth, and then a mech. And there's this guy that looks like a superhero, and they're all filming this movie, and there's explosions everywhere, and they keep retaking takes and doing all this kind of stuff. So it's this whole reskin. It's beautiful. It's really, really, really cool looking. And so you're kind of going around there. You're disguising yourself as crew members, and you're sabotaging this film set to kill the director. And so, there's different ways of doing it. So far, I figured out what I think might work, but I haven't been able to pull it all the way off yet because you have to have a little more patience than what I've had so far. But I'm really, really digging it, and I can't wait to kill this guy.
I keep, between Giant Bomb and you and other people, I really want this game, and, I think the collection thing comes out this week, so that's a little preemptive for our notable releases. Man, I don't, like you said, the patience thing. I don't have the patience for that.
Yeah, you kind of have to learn to love it, or I don't know. You have to be willing to kind of bend the way you play to go with the style of the game.
Progress, right?
No. Like,
you pretty much
not
like
really.
If you do something and it fails and you get discovered,
you start from the beginning.
The beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
But can't you save midway through? Like if you're just playing and you pause it, can you save it and then come back in?
No.
What do you mean, Joe?
At least not that I'm familiar with.
I mean, like just a normal pause.
Like if you're somewhere and you get to a point, I thought it kind of saved you at that point because I thought I'd gone in one time on the first one there. In the tutorial one, and it kind of started me at the bar. But
maybe if you just don't close the game.
I think I remember what that. I think that was suspend mode. You can do suspend mode, so you can do that, and like I could come back the next day, and if nobody else played a game, I'd come back, and the game would be suspended at that section. That's what that was.
But I'm talking about you die, like you get discovered.
Yeah, no, if you die, you restart. And also, you cannot pause during the middle, but you can do a suspend mode. So if somebody else plays a game or something, it's gone. So,
anything else, Joe?
No, that was it. I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to play Resident Evil, though. So, soon. Well,
we'll hurry this up along so you can get right to it. Jay, how about yourself?
Both of us have been playing some Gears 4. In fact, we've been playing it together. We played with Corey, and I played the previous week also with Corey, and then which kind of led us into this week's. Me and you jumped in one night, and we played Arms Race, which was a multiplayer, and I just set it up to play with bots. And that was a lot of fun, especially when you move the bot difficulty up a little bit. And with that one, what you do is when you're playing, you start off with boom shots, and then after you get 4 kills, after your team gets 4 kills, you switch to the next weapon, and till you finally get to the last weapon, which is the bolt hawk, and then you get the 4 kills, and then you guys win. So, and that makes it kind of interesting. I mean, what did you think of that gameplay on that?
Yeah, it's a good way to get used to or sample the weapons,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's a mode that I would go back to a lot, because I am more one of those guys that likes to have his 1 or 2 weapons and sort of go.
Yeah.
But it's a nice change of pace every now and then.
Yeah, I liked it because it gets you used to it. So, used to the different weapons, I should say. So, it wasn't bad. It's fun to play occasionally. And then last night, we played, 30 rounds of Horde on the new map that they just released, which is a remake. What map was that?
Blood something, wasn't it?
Yes.
No, Corey was all hot to trot to play that, but
he wanted to play it, so it just released, and we played it. And man, does that work well for Horde mode, because you get at the top of this. It's basically 2 sets of steps that come down into a bottom area that has got like an awning over it, and then there's 2 side section off to the back where they can come through. That worked very well and very enjoyable. It's too bad we didn't have enough time to be able to play all 50 waves, but it was what, 12:30 when we stopped playing, and we got to wave 30.
Yeah, and I had no intentions of playing that late, because actually Devious Mr. Matt wanted to play as well, and I was like, well, I just got done with work. I'm not feeling great. I'm super tired. These guys want to just play a quick thing of Horde. Let me do that, and then I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah.
2 hours later, we're still playing.
Yeah, so it must have been somewhat enjoyable.
Yeah, it was finish what you started, right?
Well, I think we were enjoying ourselves quite a bit. So I really do like the Horde. So it was that. Some repeats from last week is Toby and the Secret Mine, which, again, that's the one that's kind of like Limbo. I've played a little bit more of that and enjoying it. Not much more than what's been going on. It's kind of black and white. You go through, open up some secret areas to pull some levers so you can move some boxes and move around and get around. And now starting to get into some gears and belts that open up other stuff. So that's interesting. Rise and Shine. We mentioned this last week. I'd say that the difficulty on this is up there pretty good. This first boss we've been trying to beat. I'm telling you, this is a big contender for controller chucker. I have not chucked a controller yet, but and I won't because I don't want to pay for them anymore. However, it's up there for the award. It is number one on the list for the award. It is not easy. And like I said, this is
on that boss.
Still stuck on that boss. You? Did you try it again?
I haven't gone back to it.
You've given up on it, right? Yeah.
No, I haven't given up on it. I just haven't gone back.
Yeah.
Now, have you gone to the YouTubes to look to see how someone else beat it?
I haven't. I know what needs to go on. My reflexes just don't seem to be there. It's not easy. I mean, there's a pattern that you have to go through. I mean, this really is kind of an old school, where the old school where you had to learn the pattern and go through it and beat it. It is possible. It's just not easy. And depending on how you shoot or where you shoot, you can change. It'll change that pattern because he'll do something a little bit different. If you don't shoot him like in the jar, his mouth will open up, and then that red, like cloud stuff that comes at you will come at you. Or if you shoot him in the right place in the face, it won't do that. I'm assuming. I'm still trying to figure that out. So there's that. We went in one night, and the For Honor beta is out, so we tried that.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, still not my game. Still, it just...
Yeah, I
played it. You know what? This is a game that I would sit down and watch other people play. It's very interesting. It's about warriors trying to take different areas, and it's pretty brutal to watch some of the stuff that goes on. It's sword play, slicing and dicing, and when you get a couple people that really know what they're doing, there is some skill involved in that, and I don't have that skill.
Yeah, there's certainly many different ways to play it. I was watching AC Rockside play the other night before I went to bed, and he had a totally different approach than me. He sort of hunkered around B rather than going to A and C, and he would just constantly be capturing B by being there, and he played more with the range character with the long, for lack of a better term, I'm going to say poking stick, samurai with the long-ranged attack, and he would... be there sort of like, picking people off. They were already engaged in combat with people, and he would sort of come in and, jab them in the ribs a little bit.
That was what I tried to do.
A little bit more here and there, and he would eventually, kill them.
Yeah.
But it's one of those games. It's like the sweet science of dueling, right? It's not button mashing. It's knowing how to block, how to, maybe get out of the way a little bit, get back into it. So I think when you see someone who really knows what they're doing, it's impressive. But I really enjoy it. I think 4v4 is my sweet spot with the game. I haven't done much with 2v2 or 1 versus 1. But, and I'm eager to try out the campaign and see what that's about.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just like I said, that's not my cup of tea, but it's cool as hell. It's just I don't have the skills. So, and then last is I went back in and into Fallout 4, and I started Nuka World, and sucked me in again. I'm playing it.
So much for the break.
Yeah, no break. I mean, went right back into it, and having a lot of fun, and I'm going to go in and get that finished up and bail out. And it's another story that requires, you're dealing with factions, and you kind of got to go in and deal with these ones, and make the right friends and not piss off the wrong ones, and go through it kind of, a lot like the other stories. But and your choice, if you finish the main story, definitely affects some of these storylines for where you're helping people. So, and earlier during the day today, I spent probably 2 hours in the arcade playing skee-ball, trying to get tickets so I could cash them in to get there's a weapon that I'm trying to get that's only available in there from what I see. So
skee-ball in Nuka World, not in real life.
Right, skee-ball in Nuka World, yep. Yeah.
All right.
I told Corey that earlier, and Corey is like, real world, Nuka World sounds boring.
My wife loves skee ball.
Yeah, I do too. But man, yeah, sitting there I would never do it in real life, trying to collect all the tickets. But I want that weapon. So.
All right, well, I'll go next. A lot of them we already talked about, so there won't be too many. Dead Rising 4, played some more of that this week. Just making my way through the second quest, I believe, outside now. So what you talked about last week, Jay, the arrows above you and finding things, that's showing up a little bit more now that I'm not in the mall. Mm-hmm. But again, there's no timing, so you don't have to stress about that. What I do love, and I did this numerous times, I don't know about 2 hours worth, Jay, but I did get in cars and just drive around the block, just mowing people down. So satisfying.
I did that in the first one because it was
just constantly driving around.
It was an achievement to kill, I think, like 40,000 zombies with the car or something like that.
So I spent a lot of time doing that. I played the Gravity Rush 2 demo on PlayStation.
Ooh, I'll have to check that out.
That is an interesting game. It's got a unique art style to it. It's I'm glad I played the demo to experience it. But it's not something for me. I could easily tell the more I would play it, the more nauseous I would get.
Oh.
Just a constant, the way the screen moves around with the gravity and stuff like that I wouldn't be able to handle a full game. I did not get sick during the demo. I wanted to play more, but it's a full-price game, and I wasn't going to pay $60 or something that potentially could make me sick. So try it out if you want. And then the last thing, Yakuza 0. Been hearing lots of people talk about this, so I picked it up and I sort of slogged my way through the first hour or so of the game, and I'm looking for it to pick up because there's a lot of dialogue in the beginning, a lot of tutorial stuff showing you the different types of enemies you might encounter, like street thugs, like drunk old guys and stuff like that. Showed you karaoke in a bar. Sort of explains, like, who you are, what your character is about, and you're with this other Yakuza guy who's all about, fancy clothes and spending the money. Your guy seems to be more about, just the honor of being a Yakuza. So it's sort of that play going back and forth, but not a game I think you would enjoy, Jay. Just put that out there right now.
No.
But I want to stick with it because I can see, or from the quick looks and things that I've watched, that it gets a lot better, but a little slow going in the beginning. Something still on your radar, Joe?
Yeah, I still want to play it, but, Resident Evil 7 first.
Yes.
First things first.
All right, well, let's shift over to the news. As I just mentioned, the notable releases for this week, one of those items is the Hitman, the complete first season. That will be coming out on the 31st, and that is physical. So if you want to go out and pick that up, you can.
Is it out digitally already, or is it available digitally the same day?
I'm not sure of. This is only on my radar because physical, I can get it $47.99 on Amazon with the Prime discount.
Right, and I knew you could pre-order it too, so.
Yeah. And this next game I want to talk about, I don't know if it's that notable, but it looked cool to me, so I just want to quickly mention it. It's a game called Divide. It's coming out on PS4. It's being described as a lonely sci-fi dungeon crawl. And it's got that sort of isometric, quasi top-down look to it. You're this guy who's been separated from his daughter in a new world, and you're trying to figure out what's going on and where you are, and you don't really have any sort of skills to speak of other than being a dad. So you go along and you level up and learn things as you go. And just the video on the PlayStation blog sort of grabbed me. So I'll keep my eye on this, see if it goes on sale at some point. Don't really have a lot of time to play a game like this right now, but it looked interesting, looked different, looks like they put a lot of work into it, so I want to check it out at some point. Other than that, let's shift over to the news, gentlemen. First, let's start with Mass Effect Andromeda. They are getting a 10-hour trial that's coming out a week before launch. Of course, everybody but the PlayStation people will get to experience this. So if you are in EA Access on Xbox One, you will get a 10-hour trial. If you are on Origin PC, their sort of version of EA Access, you will also get a 10-hour trial. There's supposed to be some beta coming at some point, so maybe PlayStation people can play the beta then and get a little taste of the game. But other than that, people on the PlayStation will be left out on this 10-hour trial.
And there is a link in that article that brings you to there, and you can sign up to get into the EA Insider or something, whatever, where you can test games or whatnot, get in early access and whatnot. And I went through and got all the information filled out, and Mass Effect opened up, so I am now signed up for that. I mean, no guarantees I'll get into it, but you can go in and sign up through that. But it does take quite a bit. You have to fill a lot out. So,
gotcha. That's good to know. Moving on, let's talk Resident Evil again a little bit here. Resident Evil 7 has shipped 2.5 million units. That doesn't mean sales. That's what they've shipped to stores. That pushes the series to a total of 75 million. The Capcom people are saying that this game is off to a good start, and they expect it to sell around 4 million units by the end of the fiscal year, which is on March 31st. And hopefully it will surpass 5 and 6, which have done really well for games that were just, okay games, right, Joe? They weren't nothing really special, were they?
Nah.
No, I mean...
They can't... No, nothing stands out as anything memorable.
4 was probably the most popular one, right?
6 is the one that had that giraffe-looking logo on the front, right?
Yeah. And 5 did pretty decent.
That was punishing, 6, I remember.
Yeah, that's what killed that one, I think. That one was really brutal. 5 was pretty hard, too. But I know a lot of people like that. 4 seemed to be the big one.
I can't remember which one I played the most. I want to say maybe 4. It might have been 5.
I think 4 is the only one I ever finished. And that was the one that was on GameCube.
Well, again, Joe, we look forward to hearing your review on an upcoming, and sadly you won't be playing this in VR. I wish I could watch you play this in VR. But you haven't streamed at all, have you?
No. Well, I've streamed on my old PlayStation in the past, but never anything with a mic or a camera or anything like that. And I don't know if anybody ever even watched. But
I would watch that.
Oh, yeah.
Watch you play this.
Sit on a bucket. Or put on you, depends.
I'm going to read this next story here, I think mainly for myself, because I don't think anybody else cares about Battleborn except maybe me and Magmaflow from Dad's Getting Grounded. But I'm the lone guy, the asshole that bought the Season's Pass, so I feel like I need to read this just for my own justification. So I would go out there and play this. So this week, on Thursday, February 2nd, the DLC 4 comes out, Montana and the Demon Bear. It says, cozy up to the campfire and prepare to be terrified. Montana has a story you'll never believe is true. Join him as he tells of his great encounter with the terrifying beast in Montana and the Demon Bear. So, if you have the season pass, all this stuff comes with it. So yeah, I'm going to hopefully check that out at some point.
Demon Bear. And another one that Mike might have a season's pass on, huh?
I have to get the season's pass for this.
Oh, you haven't picked it up? I thought you had it.
No, I don't have it yet. Battlefield 1, They Shall Not Pass. We talked about that an episode or two ago, but they revealed details this week. It's coming with 4 new maps. The first one is called Verdun Heights. It says the opening barrage of the Battle of Verdun created massive forest fires in which players will fight for domination. This is an uphill battle towards the massive fortresses of Verdun. Let's see, the next one here is called Fort de Vaux. It's the first big engagement inside a fort during World War I. Takes place in the dark underworld of the fort. Next one here, how would you pronounce that? Soissons?
Maybe. Sounds good to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
take
It's
part
up for
in-
interpretation, really.
Yeah. Take part in one of the biggest tank assaults of World War I. The French 10th Army moves to take back Soissons using their powerful Saint-Chamond tanks.
Did you say soy sauce?
Yes.
It just reminds me of Iron Chef, where they're like, "Scoizon," every time they want to talk to the hosts.
And the last map is called Rupture. In dire need to capture key bridges across the Azani River, the French find themselves back into battlefields where poppies grow over a rusty wreck from previous tank battles. The milk of the poppy.
Yes.
There's a new game mode called Frontlines. It's a mix of Conquest and Rush. There is a new tank, or I don't know, a new, they're calling this a Steel Behemoth, the Char 2C tank. And then there is a new assault tank as well. But the main thing with this thing, it's bringing a new class called the Elite Class, the Trench Raider Elite Class. I don't know if you guys have this page open or not, but the shades this guy is wearing, I am very jealous. Devo would be jealous of these shades. These are very, very Devo-esque. Use the melee skills of the new elite class, the Trench Raider. With the brutal Raider club and impressive grenade arsenal, you will be a terrifying sight. And lastly, there's a new stationary weapon similar to a field gun. The Siege Howitzer can be operated by an infantry player. So, a lot of
Those
bang
glasses,
for your buck.
Those
You like
glasses
those?
just remind me of those like Kanye West glasses that were popular a while ago.
Oh,
The
really?
shades glasses.
Yeah,
Terrible.
I thought that was Devo.
Devo's what's up. I love Devo.
Yeah. Gates of Steel. So this is coming out in March of 2017. Moving on to some Xbox news. Sorry, Joe. Briefly want to touch upon a white paper that was released this week, Jay, called Reaching 4K and GPU Scaling Across Multiple Xbox Devices. This white paper was leaked shortly after E3, so we don't know exactly how up-to-date this is. And we don't want to certainly bog the show down by getting into any technical mumbo-jumbo, but it's certainly, the feeling I got from it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, but because they are so determined to not have a specific Xbox Scorpio SKU for a game, meaning the game can only work on the Scorpio, that the system is not as powerful as it could be. And therefore, it is not true 4K, and they are doing a lot of things that the PS4 Pro are doing. Did you come away with that general feeling?
Yeah, it's what they're doing is because they're changing the memory that's on it, and it's going to read differently. And for it to output 4K, I mean, it outputs 4K, but the game itself is being up-resed into 4K, so it's not true 4K. But
Right.
I mean,
So you mean what all the Xbox people complained and said that getting a PlayStation 4 Pro was a total waste because that's what it did?
Right. And the thing that rubs me the wrong way, I guess, the most is, remember, like, when the Pro came out, they talked about the Pro, and then there were those commercials, true 4K gaming, the only place to get true 4K gaming. Now, again, this article is right around E3 time. Things could have changed, but did you listen to Podcast Unlocked this week, Jay?
I did.
Yeah, and so McCaffrey, a guy that I know that you believe in and certainly have respect for,
Yes.
does not think that this white paper is fiction, and he says it's very hard for them to change things too much because they have to get these parts and manufacturing in place and things of that nature. He called the Scorpio a PS4 Pro, was the words he used.
And said he was going to get a lot of hate for it, but
right.
It's kind of valid. I mean, the PS4 Pro is a little bit faster than the PS4, and from what they're saying, I mean, we really don't know, but from looking at this white paper and getting the breakdown and figuring out how it may work, that we're running into the same thing. This is not going to be, a 4K, a beastly 4K gaming machine. I mean, it will output 4K video, but will it render the games in true 4K is the big thing. Is it going to be a 900p that's up-resed into a 4K, or are they going to take a 1080 and double it? Which they're saying in that case is it's really complicated the way the thing rasterizes and all that stuff. So, I
guess to summarize, and I'm happy because of this news, and I'll tell you why. First of all, he's saying do not think of the Scorpio as the Xbox 4. That this is going to be an iterative console. Again, he called it the Pro, and the reason I'm happy about that is because of the price. He firmly believes, Ryan McCaffrey from IGN, a podcast Unlocked, believes that it will be suicide for Microsoft to release this at any more than $399. So, for people out there that are really into the Xbox ecosystem and are looking to get something more in line with the PS4 Pro and slightly better, it sounds like, $399 is certainly an easier pill to swallow than what people are floating out there for a premium console. I mean, for a while there, we were thinking $500 or $600. $399 seems a lot more reasonable.
Yeah, I was thinking it wouldn't be over $5, but it does seem reasonable, and depending on what's going on, which price wise, it depends too. I mean, this AMD chip, AMD is coming out with a new CPU die, which is supposed to be smaller, faster, run cooler. So, there's been some. These specs are also from back in E3 when they announced it. These white papers that they got. So there's possibility that it could change. But he did say, that due to the way they do things and whatnot, it's hard to change specs like this. So that's probably out of everything. I think that's one of the few specs that I believe, if anything is going to change, that would be the one that would be the newest architecture that AMD is going to be putting out, because that's what they use for the GPUs. Sorry, not CPUs, the GPUs. So
and Digital Foundry did a very deep dive on this, and I think, again, if they felt it was not accurate or has changed, they probably wouldn't have run with it in the fashion they did. So,
yeah, they're breaking it all down, and I mean, we'll see. I mean, this is basically it's rumor, but it's got something behind it that they believe is probably pretty accurate. So, but I mean, does it really matter to us? I mean, at this point in time, I mean, I think the fact of saying that it's a, in quotes, a PS4 Pro, and by saying that, it's going to be a PS4 Pro is still a PS4. It's not a PS5. It's not a PS4.5. That's what it is, and this is basically what this one's going to be. We got the Xbox, now we got the Xbox One S, which can output 4K, and again, it's only upscaling. And the the Scorpio is just going to be another more powerful Xbox One. And to be honest with you, just make the next one. Make it so that they're backwards compatible and can play the games that are on the current ones, but make it so that they can produce games for the new one. But I think they're afraid to
piss the people off because they're so far behind.
Well, not so much. Well, yes, the one, people, and two, developers, because then they have to develop for which could hurt the Switch. They have to develop for a different platform. So
I think they're more concerned about their fans. I think they're more concerned if people, again, we're going to toss the value word around. There's value in backwards compatibility. There's value in bringing your library forward with you. And they're afraid to piss people off by having an Xbox Scorpio out there with only games that work on that system.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I mean, I had said that I had thought that with the Scorpio that we would start seeing games that only run on Scorpio. But if they stick to their guns and do what they've said, that all games have to run on everything. I think they're shooting themselves in the foot with that one. by stating that and sticking to stating that. If they had just said, the Xbox One games will run on Scorpio, that's fine. But Scorpio, at some point in time, if a developer chooses to do it, they could produce a game that will only run on Scorpio, and where they do the cross-platform thing with PC, why not? A screaming PC can push it too. So, but unfortunately, that's not the direction they seem to be going in.
What did they do when the OG Xbox was floundering? They killed it dead in the water and put out the 360.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and that's not the case nowadays. So we've got these iterative consoles. Both sides are doing it. So, do you think Sony's doing that right now? You think they're making another iterative console, or are they working on the PS5?
I think they're working on the PS5.
Yeah. I think it'd be smart.
I think they're crapping in their. If I had to be honest, I think they're crapping in their pants a little bit about what Scorpio could do, and I think the only thing they're not completely worried about is that Xbox doesn't have the exclusive launches titles anymore that seem to be really lighting the world on fire.
Yeah.
So, let's move on to one of those exclusive titles. Gears of War 4 now gets cross-platform play with PC.
For the competitive multiplayer, which they didn't have before because they were afraid that it would have an unevenness across them. Yeah, the balance would be off. So I guess they've done some extensive testing.
Yep. So it's now available in the game's social quick play list. The addition of Xbox One versus Windows 10 crossplay is planned to be a permanent move for the future of social quick play, with the first few months being a trial period in order to monitor player feedback.
Good call.
I'm not sure how many people are playing Gears of War on PC, though.
I don't know. We had a bunch playing in the beginning, but yeah, how many are still playing now? So
Two of them.
Jay, I want to know your feedback on this. And I'm sorry, I do apologize, Joe, for all the Xbox news, but that's just the way the cookie crumbled this week.
Joe, we still love you.
I thought of you last night, Joe, when we were playing Gears 4. And with the whole PC thing, I was like, maybe Joe could get into this with the Horde mode, but probably not, right?
Nah.
No new games.
No new friends and no new
Xbox games.
There you go. That's better.
That's on the back of the head. Snap mode, Jay. They're going to be getting rid of this with the new update.
They've said that they are removing Snap from it with the new update. I have not gotten it on. I don't think I've gotten it on any of my consoles yet. So I do have another one I haven't checked.
Resources going forward for bigger things. So I guess first question to you: do you use Snap mode?
To be honest with you, I really don't. And they say the reason they're removing Snap mode is because it'll make the UI faster. Because I guess basically with Snap mode, you're running it as a separate app that's running off, and it's using more resources in that way. So if they just kind of have it floating over the top, I guess, as opaque, you don't have to do that. The only thing that I would miss, I guess, would be being able to snap television, but we don't watch TV through it anymore. We watch it through apps, and you can't snap the apps and watch them up in the corner, so you can't kind of do that picture-in-picture thing. Anyways, so but if I still had TV, if I still had satellite TV, I would miss that part. But
this was a big selling point at one time, wasn't it? You could watch your sports, and you could have the ticker on the right-hand side, like your fantasy, football and stuff like that. Or like you said, you could play a game and have sports or some other program on.
Yeah. How are you going to play threes? Three was able to you were able to play that in Snap mode. So what did they get rid of that now? So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much this is going away and what it will impact. Have any games used this feature? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be missed much, to be honest with you, if they incorporate something that is just an overlay now, which I believe is what they're headed toward. as just to do an overlay and have it work. I mean, it's basically going to be kind of the same thing, except your game's not going to shrink down. So you'll have a opaque overlay. So, I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard a lot of outcry from that. So,
well, it'll be interesting. I check every day to see if I got the update here in my office, but
I think it's going to be a while, especially where we don't do a lot of feedback. So,
I still can't believe I haven't had any update
since December
10th.
Yep, mine was the 15th. So,
so that seems like a while. I'll have to check the one in the basement. I haven't checked that one yet. Moving on, Dead Rising 4. This is, again, a new story item for me. It's adding Street Fighter costumes and new difficulty mode this week.
Cool.
Yep.
I want to kill zombies as, like, Akuma.
So this, let's see, featuring Zangief, Guile, and Cammy. So, yes, Frank's ass returned to the camera. I'm right now in some sort of, full-on, like, night costume that I got at the mall. And, Jay, you said I look like an alien, right?
Yes, yeah, you look like a what do you call them things? The praying mantis.
Yeah, I got to figure out how to get that costume off. It's not intuitive how to change your clothes. I think you had to go somewhere. I got to figure that out. But
you got to go to the clothing stores. I think that was how it was before. Although you could just put heads on before.
Right, yeah, you can do that definitely. You pick them up and find them. You can put them on.
But I think for your clothes and your costumes, you had to go into like a clothing store or something like that. So I can't remember.
And there's also going to be new difficulty modes, which will mean enemies will do greater damage. Frank's weapons break down faster, and food doesn't restore health as much. A patch fixing a bunch of bugs will also accompany this update. Additionally, Capcom will begin offering a time trial to Xbox One players on January 31st. The trial lasts an hour, and users may earn achievements and carry over their saved progress to what they buy the full game. So that's something to keep in mind, Jay.
Yes, because I am interested in picking it up. It does seem like it's a cool game. But I don't know if I haven't heard anybody talking about playing multiplayer yet. So, and I know you're not playing the normal campaign. It's kind of created
it's a separate own mode, yeah.
Yeah, separate mode. So,
and last two stories here, real quick: Rocket Knight and Shadows of the Damned join backwards compatibility. I own both of those games, so that's good for me. And lastly, the games with gold for February. We have Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time. That will be available for the whole month, February 1st to the 28th. Project Cars will be available February 16th through March 15th. And then on the 360, February 1st to the 15th is Monkey Island Special Edition 2 and Star Wars Force Awakens, which is February 16th to the 28th. And again, if those games are part of Games with Gold, then they're also available backwards compatibility on the Xbox One, right, Jay?
Yes. And I unfortunately own most of those, except for Force Unleashed. I don't own that, so I'll be grabbing that one.
I don't own Monkey Island
Unleashed is a good game.
Yeah, Force Unleashed is not bad.
Yeah.
So that's all the news I have this week, gentlemen. Let's get into some last-minute shout-outs and plugs. Why don't you go ahead, Joe?
Well, shout out to myself. No, shout out to the wife and myself for rocking out our. We've actually been doing vlogs since the beginning of December, and they've really been growing. I am now doing full-time eBay. I've kind of dived into doing the YouTube stuff more, and it's been having a pretty good reception. I've been having a lot of fun doing it. So, if anybody's interested in eBay stuff, check that out. It's a State's Place.
Excellent. Anything else, Joe?
Never.
How about you, Jay?
Shout out to 4 weeks to the Switch for for all those that are excited about that. It's amazing that short a period of time.
February's a short month, Jay.
Yeah, it is. And PAX South is going on right now. Getting all kinds of news out of that, aren't we?
It's all done. It's all wrapped up.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
So all those that went to may have gone to PAX South. I hope you had a wonderful time. Again, not much news came out of that. I don't think any news came out of that.
No, I think PAX South is more of a
social thing.
Focused, yes,
yeah. But very eager to get out for PAX East. And shout out to Corey. I feel you, brother. Being sick sucks. And hopefully we can get you back with our sound effects and maybe some games and whatnot. So until then, we're missing you and hope you get better.
For sure.
And to all the listeners, thank you for listening. And if you get a chance, go on to wherever you may be getting your pod tuned cast thingies, whatever you want to call them. And I'm just being an ass. All right.
Podtune cast thingies.
Podtune. You get them. Yeah, you get your
I'm on
podcasts on iTunes, or your casters. How's that?
All right.
So
Jay's trying to say, wherever you listen to us, give us feedback because it's good for our ego and self-esteem.
Exactly. That's exactly what I meant. So
exactly.
There is that.
All right. Well, let me give a shout-out to Corey. Hope you're feeling better. You're certainly missed. Let me give a shout-out to Sean. He is missed as well. And Conan Exiles, I believe, goes into early access on the 31st. So hopefully Sean will be back with us at some point to talk about that. Let's see. New episodes, Dad's Getting Grounded and the 40 Cast are out, so go check those out. And shout out to everybody that's been contributing on Discord and with the responses. That keeps us motivated. So thanks for all those answers. If you want to send us questions, feedback, complaints, you can always tweet at us at gamersinbeta. You can always email us at gamersinbeta@gmail.com. And then I think the last shout out here, I just want to give a shout out to the people that are out in the streets and protesting what's going on right now. I'm admired and humbled by those people that are going against what is going on with our current government and administration, and I appreciate all the work you're doing. I wish I had the strength to go out there and do it myself, but with kids and work and everything like that, it's hard to find the time, but it does not go unappreciated from where I sit. And anything else to add, gentlemen, or should we wrap this up?
I think we should wrap this up.
Yeah.
Oh, and thank you, Syd, for joining us. And until next time, it will be the same beta time, same beta channel. See ya!
With that, we should probably kick off episode 100 and... Really, Jay? Really?
Sorry.
Really? About the fucking...
Fucking... the goose up in here?